Hey guys, if you like this content, I would greatly appreciate it if you guys like the video and subscribed to my channel. It helps make these videos worth it going forward. What's up guys, Altcoin Sherpa here with a crypto market review. As always, this is not financial advice. I'm not an expert, do your own research. Okay, so today I just wanted to review a whole bunch of altcoins. I know that everybody's exposed to altcoins as always, so let's just get to some of the most popular ones. Today, I'm just going to review like 10 or 15 altcoins here. This is MATIC USD on the daily. Not really a super clear trend to me personally. I mean, the trend is still bearish personally, is what I can see. Still lower highs and lower lows. I haven't really seen anything yet that would break market structure to the upside quite yet. You could maybe make an argument that the last high set around 170 or so is the most recent swing high. So if that area gets broken, then you can maybe make an argument for a break in market structure at that point, because at that point you would have a low, a high, a higher low, and then a higher high. So, you know, at that point it would be a higher high. It's important to note that this is the 200-day EMA. Typically, this is a pretty good resistance area, but it is also important to note that that area already got tapped once, and there have been a lot of interactions with that level or that EMA already. So, generally speaking, it's not going to be as relevant in this type of price action. But I mean, to me, it looks like a short-term bottom is forming for MATIC. I wouldn't be surprised at all to see this run up to like the low twos. That would make a lot of sense. So, you know, something like this where you go up to like the low $2 area, maybe like retest, and then maybe potentially go higher. You know, I'm not really quite ready to call this like, you know, everything going to all-time highs or anything like that. You know, I wouldn't be surprised at all to see this go lower. But I think this will be a good area if you are in a MATIC long from higher to de-risk, and or just take a trade on a break of 170. Then you can just target the low twos and then see it head lower. Luna, this is everybody's favorite coin. I think this is a very hard type of price action to really map out. I can't really see what's going on, to be frank and honest with you. This area has been strong resistance over the last few times, and we haven't really seen it price close above it. If you scale in, you haven't really seen many price closes above this $95 area on high time frame charts. If you look on the daily, you know, price hasn't really closed above it. It had that fake out on March 10th when it tapped the all-time high levels, and then it pulled back strongly. And now it's just kind of consolidating below that level. So, you know, this kind of slow grinding price action, it's very hard to tell what's going on with Luna. I don't personally think it's really a great buy at this level personally. I'd rather buy a dip maybe at kind of like near the 200 EMA around like the mid 80s or so. That would be an area of interest. But I mean, to me, the chart is not super clear. And price is just kind of consolidating right near resistance and the all-time high level. Don't really know what to think. I mean, you can definitely, I mean, the market structure still looks bullish to me until shown otherwise, but I still don't know if this is really a great area to long personally. So kind of neutral on Luna. I mean, it's still a bullish market structure on lower time frames, in my opinion. Would personally like maybe just wait for a break of all-time high level and just assume it's going to go higher. Fantom, this one was in a very bearish market structure. I thought it was actually going to go a little bit lower here to like this $1 area, but it never reached that area quite. And now it looks like it's short-term going up. There is a lot of inefficiency to fill. I wouldn't be surprised to see this maybe go up to like 170 or something like that, and then that would be an interesting area to short. And that area is somewhat confluent with some of these other important areas, such as like the swing high here set in late September. These two levels will be interesting in the high $2 or the high $1, low $2 area. But to me, it looks like Fantom is going to go short-term higher, but I don't really think this is really going to like break all-time highs or anything like that. I expect a lower high. Personally, I expect this to like kind of continue to grind up. Maybe break down at 170. Maybe it's like $2, and then like form some sort of lower high, and then continue lower. To me, this is still a shitty. It's still bearish market structure. I don't think this is a really good coin to really long, personally. For a lot of reasons. Number one, just a straight bearish market structure, and there's just many better opportunities, in my opinion, than this one. I think it just needs to reset and continue chopping around before it goes higher, personally. Let's go to Adam. Adam looks okay. If you looked at my other video the other day, I just really think it's just kind of ranging. There's really nothing to say about this one. I mean, I think that it going to like the equilibrium of this entire range looks pretty likely, but as far as it being like super bullish, I mean, I do think this is a great project and a great chain, but I think that as a chart itself, I think it's more likely to go like to the EQ of the range, and then maybe it tests it and we make it our way all the way up to like $45 again. But I don't really know if this is going to really go to like all-time highs or anything like that. I still think that like the EQ around $35, $34 is going to be an issue, and then also the range high around 45. But you know, this is just chopping around. It's crabbing. I mean, it is probably forming a short-term bottom. It's right into the 200-day EMA. But I personally, you know, this is more of an investment. If you were to buy here, you would just buy it and hold it for a while, I think. Just expect to like trade it and maybe sell like 45 or something like that. Link, you know, I get a lot of hater, like people don't like that I shit all over Link, but Link is really just a shit coin. It did hit this kind of like range low area and consolidated below, and then now it looks pretty decent actually. But similar to Fantom, I think the market structure still is very bearish on Link, and I think that maybe until it breaks like $20, and I think it's still just bearish on higher time frames, because you can denote that last move up around $20 as like the last meaningful high, and it looks like price is like kind of making its way back up there. But you know, I don't really think this is like going to all-time highs or anything like that. I think there's many better charts than Link USD. Still a bearish market structure to me. I would expect this to kind of chop around in range for a little longer, and I do expect this 200-day EMA to act as resistance right around $20. So yeah, I mean, it looks okay in the short term, but definitely I'm not having like super ambitious targets for this one. This is a coin that I'm in personally. I think it looks pretty good, and there's a few reasons for that. I think that price is just chopped around, and you can see with volume profile that this is an area that price likes to trade at, right around this like kind of $10 to $11 area, and price is chopped around this area for quite some time. But there's been deviations on both ends of this range. You know, you saw the deviation up to like $14, and then you also saw the deviation down to $7.50. But as a whole, price likes to trade it within this range and likes to just stay here. So there was a decent buying opportunity around the range high at like $12, and price has since kind of consolidated above that. Don't know if this is quite really the strong break quite yet from this range. You know, I would like to see some volume follow up. The next area up, in my opinion, would be like the low 13s. As you can see here, it was resistance a few times, and as well as like kind of this deviation range high, and now it should still be resistance again. But overall, I think that this chart looks pretty solid. I'm personally expecting like kind of like this $16, $17 area. I think that makes a lot more sense for near overall. AXS, this one really had a strong pump because of the Goldman Sachs stuff, and I mean the chart itself looked pretty good in my opinion. I did a fib on this before where it didn't quite hit the 786, but it got close enough, and price is right near the 200-day EMA, so you know, caution is warranted. So I would be careful. I think buying a dip somewhere around $56 would be pretty solid. Like, so I wouldn't be surprised if this like kind of trades up and then kind of pulls back a little bit, and then hits the EQ of this trading range from January to March, and then continues higher. Like, you know, again, I'm not calling for all-time highs or anything like that, but you do have to understand that altcoins are certainly can go like 2 to 3x from the bottom, and we're already almost kind of seeing that with AXS, where it's gone like 50% from the bottom. Wouldn't be surprised at all to see this like kind of go to the low 100s and then kind of pull back. That's kind of like what I'm expecting, but I do think that many altcoins look pretty reasonable in the short term. Solana, I had a lot of conflicting thoughts with this, but I do think that overall this is like a kind of short-term bottom. It has been chopping around for several weeks now, and I actually bought some more yesterday. Do think that around this 120 area should be resistance. It's the 200-day EMA as well as kind of like this high that was set before back in February. And I don't know how high it's going to go. Maybe it's like one low, like 150 or so would make a lot of sense to me. And then like kind of a big decent pullback. But again, it's really hard to say with regards to Bitcoin. I think that really just dictates everything right now. Still looks pretty decent in my opinion. This is like an area that price likes to trade at, given this high volume node point of control. But would personally kind of be cautious right around this kind of low 115, 120 area personally. Let's look at DOT. DOT is hitting the range, kind of these lows here, and it actually looks pretty reasonable in terms of it being a low. I think the next area up would be 26 or so, and then after that 30. There is a lot of confluence kind of with these levels in the past, but to me it still looks pretty reasonable for at least a lower high, in my opinion. Again, similar to Fantom and all the others, I don't think this is going to go to all-time highs or anything like that, but like lower high to like $30, certainly reasonable. Avalanche, I think, looks reasonable as well. I mean, it's just chopping around. I don't really think this is really a clean break, in my opinion. You can like draw some trend lines too, like that this was maybe a clean break from it, but again, it's I don't really like using trend lines all that much personally. They're a little bit too subjective, and obviously everything with TA is always usually pretty subjective, but like I think that it looks reasonable for sure. Like I would at least target, I mean, 100 is coming up. I think it looks pretty good for breaking that level. It's been resistant several times since January and February, and I think that it's more likely that price goes up to like 120-ish, and then it has a decent sized retest. I think that's kind of my overall plan for Avalanche. Looks, this is a trade that I'm in. It's like a kind of Adam and Eve reversal personally is what I'm kind of looking at, where you see like, you know, this V-shaped kind of reversal, then a retest of that level. But the retest is a higher low, and now price is kind of chopping around here. And I think that it's just still going to go higher. Like my first take profit is right around this 240 area, 230. And I'll just scale out. I think that like kind of like the low threes is like my kind of ultimate target. Don't really expect this to like really go to all-time high levels again, but certainly possible for this to hit like $3 and then maybe like pull back. But short squeeze would make sense. Like all the sellers are probably gone, but I don't really know. I mean, this one has like one is fundamentally just kind of weird. So, again, really hard to say what's going on with regards to looks rare. But I am in this one, and I am expecting like low threes personally. Ape Coin looks pretty good. I recently exited my position on this one as a scalp. I was fibbing out the entire range, and I think that it looks Can't remember. I think I scaled down, actually. This fits it pretty well, actually, to be frank and honest with you. If you really want the good stuff, you have to scale down to lower time frames. I was a little bit too lazy, but maybe I'll do that. Okay, so it looks like the body closes 1786. Close enough. Looks pretty reasonable, honestly. It's still bullish market structure on lower time frames. Like if you can just see on lower time frames, it's clear higher highs and higher lows. It just looks pretty clean. But with that said, I think it's likely that this one pulls back sometime soon. I don't know when. Like 16 or so should certainly be something. All-time high level should be something. But it just looks like higher highs and higher lows on this on lower time frames. So maybe this continues to grind up like to, I don't know, 16 or something, then pulls back. But I'm personally not expecting all-time highs, but maybe I'm going to be way off on this. Like I do think it's going to be decent to buy a decent-sized dip on this because this is like the first of its kind, but this is really something you have to read the fundamentals about and really think for yourself on how you want to price Ape Coin. Look at SRM, Serum. This one did really well because Sam was pumping it, and you can see the insane volume coming in as well. But this one did retrace like hugely. I would at least target like the high threes personally. I think that's an area of interest. Maybe even a little higher, to be frank and honest with you. Kind of like this low fours area. Seems more reasonable. I like that level a little bit more. For a few reasons. Number one, the reaction is a lot stronger back in March 2021. So yeah, I think this is like, I think it's like low fours seems pretty decent. And I expect this to continue up to that point as well. Don't know if this is going to full retrace or anything like that, but still looks pretty reasonable. Waves is entering a supply zone. I would personally look to short this one. Don't think it's going to continue. Maybe it squeezes higher. It's like $40, but I would be very cautious in this entire area. I would not personally be buying unless it's a very, very short scalp, but I'd be looking for shorts. That's how I would play this one. Anyways, hopefully you guys enjoyed this video. Oh, by the way, for waves too, if you want to buy a dip, this is an easy one to fib out because of how fast it moved. Personally, because of how strongly it went, I'd probably aim for like the 0.5, and I would aim for lower highs as well. I wouldn't expect like all-time high level. So like if this comes back down to like, you know, 0.5 or 618, then I would just target like the 382 and then assume it just goes lower. So at this point, this is one of those types of trades where you would just buy and then look for a lower high and then sell. You wouldn't expect all-time highs. If you want all-time highs, that's when you need to go to fibs on lower time frames when you see price first breaking out of its range. So for instance, say, you know, you caught the bottom, like you would fib like this here. This is like one easy clean fib. This is what I would do. Then you go from like the impulse, and then you go for 382, and then it goes higher. That's how I would play it. It's like, you know, when you catch the breakouts, you usually want to go for 382 and 0.5, but that's just kind of like my own preference. It depends. The fibs are very. It's very dependent on the style that you want to trade. Like, yes, they work, but in my opinion, they work, but it really depends on the setup that you take. Anyways, hopefully you guys enjoyed this video. Thank you for the support and 10K followers. Cheers.